Hey, gang, welcome back to the Holocron Chronicles, where we're talking about Star Wars, as always. This is episode number 131. I am Charlie Carden, your Jedi guy of the east side of Grand Rapids, joined by my Jedi guy of the west side of Grand Rapids. I know it's kind of sad we live, we both live in the same town and we don't record together. We don't have the budget for another mic to get the microphones together. Plus, I like my privacy. But anyway, this is my buddy. This is my buddy Peter Stein. We're back. We are talking about we're kind of in this kind of weird period. We know Mandalorian and Grogu is coming up in 2 months' time. We're recording this actually exactly 2 months from today. We're recording this on March 22, and the movie comes out on May 22. So very excited about that. But we're continuing kind of our rebirth of a journey by talking about films, talking about TV films, the ones from the 70s and the 80s, which were iffy at best. Yeah. And now we're talking about, in this case, just for simplicity's sake, because I know I rarely make time to read a book, but I can make time to read a comic. We've been talking about adaptations of Timothy Zahn's land-breaking 1990s trilogy of books, and we're starting the last one. And I think after this, we will probably get into talking about other comics that followed. And I was just kind of brainstorming, and Peter, you and I could talk about this off book, but about doing a little 30th anniversary celebration of Shadows of the Empire, which we've talked about on this show in the distant past when it was Mark and Todd and myself. But like I said, it's the 30th anniversary of the very land-breaking project, and I think it's worth breaking ground about that. But those are all things to come. And we have the Darth Maul animated series to talk about, starting with our very next episode. We're actually going to be off for a cycle because I'm on vacation again. I know, Charlie, look at me trotting all over the place, but I know you'll miss me and you'll have the other episodes to keep you warm. But let's get into it. Right after I, of course, talk about the wonderful people on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. You are listening to this on your Monday morning drive, potentially, because we publish this on Sunday evenings for Patreons, where the rest of the world gets to listen to it on a Wednesday. So all of our shows are early when you go to Patreon. And of course, that's patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. We do have exclusive programs as well, including a great show that Peter and I are just finishing, which is talking about Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica on the Facts of Geek Life. And an exclusive channel on our Discord. So it works like this. Your first week is for free. Joining is for free, even if you just want to see what we're publishing. I encourage you to follow that link and just join. It'll just let us know that you're there, and we'll send you a nice note saying thanks for being here. And if you ever choose to jump on board, this extra content, blah, blah, that'd be awesome. Patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. After that, your first month is free. And you stick around for as little as $2 a month. So there's a lot of amazing perks to joining our Patreon, and it helps the channel do what we do. All right, for like the 10th episode in a row, I feel like there's no news, or at least a third or fourth episode. There's not anything really substantive to talk about. There was, Peter and I were chatting about this in the pre-roll. There is a new a second trailer for the Darth Maul series. We don't necessarily feel like it was really substantive enough to like really break it down again, because it was just little trickles of here's an extra shot here, here's a picture of this thing or whatever.
It was a sizzle reel, basically.
It was a sizzle reel, and we can definitely handle the sizzle reel and kind of leave that to your imagination. So, boy, it was a quick intro. But with that, we are into talking about the third comic series, which reflects the third book in this trilogy by Timothy Zahn from the 1990s. This is The Last Command, the last tango in Paris, the last... I don't want to say The Last Jedi, because we don't need that negativity in our lives.
Well, it's not talking about that specifically.
Right.
So interested. What do you think The Last Command is talking about? Like the title?
Wherever they're going to, I don't know. You know what? I'm going to just let it envelop me. I'm not 100% sure. Peter's flicking his eyebrows seductively, which you can't see because we're only on audio. I'm just going to let that information kind of wash over me as time goes by. So just to bear in mind, if you are interested in reading this for yourself after you're hearing us talk, you can find this, as Peter and I did, on Marvel Unlimited. I've talked about Marvel Unlimited excessively in the last 11 years that we've been podcasting on Secret Friends Unite. I like it very much. It is also purchasable as a standalone on Kindle/Comixology, which is Amazon. Both obviously giant evil corporations, which we still kowtow to. But my better suggestion suggestion, visit your local comic shop. If you're someone who enjoys comics, go to that local comic dealer and say, hey, I would like to get a trade paperback of Timothy Zahn's Dark Horse adaptation of The Last Command, or I would like single issues. Do you have single issues for me? Can you find single issues for me? That comic vendor, if they have two brain cells to rub together, will be thrilled that you came to ask them. And that was not any way to knock any comic shop vendors. I know several, but trust me, they're all small business people and they all desperately want new and recurring customers. So please.
They just want to share the love of comics with you.
Absolutely correct. Peter has very good friends down in, is it Kentucky or Tennessee?
Yep, Lexington.
Lexington, Kentucky, who are comic shop owners, and we've had your buddy on the show. Go down there, and they'll be that much more just happy to have a chat about comics, about any kind. But definitely do that. But let me run down a little summary. Hopefully, it's not too spoilery. I just kind of cut and pasted it from our Wikipedia entry. The embattled Republic reels from the attacks of Grand Admiral Thrawn, who has marshaled the remnants of Imperial forces and driven the rebels back with abominable technology discovered from the Emperor's secret fortress. Clone soldiers. Fascinating. As Thrawn mounts his final siege, Han and Chewie struggle to form a coalition of smugglers for a last-ditch attack against the Empire, while Leia holds the alliance together and prepares for the birth of her Jedi twins. Aw. Hashtag blessed. Overwhelmed by the ships and clones. I can't help myself. I know. I'm like, there's that famous meme out there. Make sure that you have at least one for everybody's got at least one friend you don't want to sit next to at a series. I'm that guy. I will always be that guy. So just don't sit next to me at a wake or a funeral. It's a bad, or probably a wedding. That's why I sit with my wife, because she knows what she signed up for. Overwhelmed by the ships and clones at Thrawn's command. Thrawn's last command? Is he the last command?
Nope.
Oh, come on. The Republic has one last hope, sending a small force led by Luke Skywalker into the very stronghold that houses Thrawn's terrible cloning machines. I've got a riff on that one a little bit later, which is what I have dubbed the episode, if you've noticed it in the notes. Yep. I'll explain, though I feel like I've mentioned it before. There, a final danger awaits as the Dark Jedi Sabawith, or I just call him Crazy Gandalf, directs the battle against the rebels and builds the strength to finish what they've already started, the destruction of Luke Skywalker. Oh, mama. And we're talking the first 3 issues because we want to give it a little bit of depth. Yep. So we're going to get started. Peter, issue 1. Let's do it.
All right. Issue 1. First, I do want to note that the art style has changed yet again.
Of course. Well, that was my very first note as well. Now, again, everybody who listens to our podcast knows that I'm a comic guy. I'm a Marvel guy over DC, though I do read a lot of DC. This was published by Dark Horse. None of the creative team of this is a name that I feel like I've ever heard before. Mm-mm. It's very much fringe, independent stuff. So based on your comment, how would you compare the art style to the previous incarnation or the one before that?
So
of the titles.
I like this one better than I liked the one that they did for Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, agreed. That was the first one, right?
Yeah, that was the first one. That was rough.
And like I said, I kept bitching about the letterer couldn't draw letters.
Yeah, that one was weird. To be honest, I think that Dark Force Rising had the best art.
Okay,
it was the most this one still, the characters are still recognizably who they are supposed to be,
right?
But Thrawn's face was better defined in Dark Force Rising.
Gotcha.
And Mara looked better in Dark Force Rising.
Not as many gratuitous shots of Mara's ass in this.
Not in this one, no. Which has nothing to do with why I like the other one more.
Of course not. No. I just said, maybe they're trying to find a way to get you to take the character seriously. Yeah, because really, how easy is it really to respect Mara as a strong, independent assassin when they're just bam, there's her ass on Front Street. I'm just saying, it's too much. It just doesn't need to be. Focus on other things about the character.
I suppose my first introduction to Mara in the comics realm was her standalone comic book that came out.
Oh yeah, another Dark Horse, I'm sure.
Yeah, it came out 2 years later than this.
Yeah,
and she just wastes people in that one.
Yeah,
so it's
you're not looking at her butt, I'm sure, because she's not let me stop and
I think that's still in there, but it's not nearly as much. But
know the audience.
But either way, we start with Thrawn kind of setting up some plans. Sabaoth is just like, oh, I'm in charge of the Empire, and
Oh my God,
you're just
he's so crazy. What's the deal? And Thrawn's like, okay, Grandpa, let's get you back to bed. He's obviously stringing him along, and I think that's what makes Thrawn such a master, strategist and kind of line stepping shit talker, is that he's like, okay, buddy, yeah, you're in charge of the Empire. You can't see me, but
there's a line that happens either in this scene or the next scene where it's just like, yes, we will we'll let Sabaoth believe that he rules the Empire, and when we get to that point after we're done with this war, we'll cross that bridge.
Oh boy!
Hint, hint.
Wink.
Wink. Which is really
I'll wink and tap my foot. You are Homer Thompson of Terror Lake.
You're winking with both eyes. What are you doing?
I guess I got something in my contact. He does have those big red eyes. So
So it's a very classic Thrawn thing of just using the foibles of his tools against them.
Right.
Like Sabaoth thinks he's in charge, and Thrawn's like, "Yeah, of course, you're totally in charge. You are
got
ruling,
it, buddy.
You are ruling the Empire. I am listening to you 100%." Captain Pellaeon, do not listen to this idiot.
Oh my God! I did make a note because there's the scene early on with Crazy Gandalf and Pellaeon, and right before that, Pellaeon walks in after I think he was kind of getting his ass chewed a little bit, or by Thrawn, or they were having an exchange. And Pellaeon thinks, as if I had a choice in his thought bubble, I said, could there be in trouble paradise with the Smithers to Thrawn's Mr. Burns?
A little bit. Not like it's not that much, but there is a point where like Pellaeon's getting a little frustrated, but he's not frustrated with Thrawn per se. He's more frustrated at Thrawn as having him be the go-between between Thrawn and Sabaoth, because he's like, Sabaoth is an insane douche. I don't want to deal with him.
You crazy, baby.
So, and then we get, spoilers for later, we get an important thing where Sabaoth tells Pellaeon to contact Wayland and clone from a very specific canister.
Canister XYQ or whatever it is. Yeah.
What is that? Ooh.
My God.
We will find out next time, but
oh my God. Is this going to get us into the territory of Luke's name, but it has an extra letter in it? Oh, I just can't wait. I did like kind of sling it into this. They go and they take over that one planet because they want all their foodstuffs. And Thrawn's like, yeah, we're taking you over, and you can still have your government. You can still have he said your social. So I thought, really? You can still have their social media, so they still have Instagram and stuff? And it's still, that's good.
Yeah, but he's like, shit talk the Emperor on the HoloNet. Doesn't matter.
He said, you know what? We just need your food. And you're like, why does he need the food? Because of the clones, which we kind of found out about
the interesting thing is you see that Thrawn is able to shoot through the planetary barrier, which should not happen. There is an explanation for this, but they don't explain it in these 3 issues, so I will hold off.
He's got super hot lasers. Lasers.
It has nothing to do with super lasers. It's another Thrawn tactic of misdirection, which he does multiple times in this particular set of
prestige.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay,
interesting.
Here's something. Go ahead, please. I was just going to say, I was going to point out one of my biggest irritations, and this goes through all 3 issues. Why, and I bitched about this last time, why, when anybody referring to Leia has to call her Leia Organa Solo or just Organa Solo, particularly with no hyphen, it just drives me absolutely insane. I'll get off my soapbox.
I think in the book there's a hyphen. So I don't know why there isn't one in the comics.
It's that letterer. He knows. Somehow he knows. He knows he was going to get to me.
He knew you were going to read it and knew it would irritate you.
He's going to get to me. All right, back to you. You were saying?
So in the next scene, we have Luke and Tal and Card meeting up on, I forget the name of this planet.
Wait a second. I wrote it down. Is it Flive and the Flavians?
It's Burkest.
Oh, gotcha. Flive and the Flavians was the other planet, which is it sounds like a bubblegum pop band from the 60s.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Interestingly, this planet, visually in the comics at least, is very, very similar to a planet that you visit in Outlaws.
Nice. Okay.
Wow. So I didn't go back and double check to see if it's the same planet by name, but it's this planet in this like sort of rock formation, kind of protected by this sort of like cracked open mountain. So very cool if that's what the artists on the game were grabbing from.
Yeah,
nice
wouldn't be
deep cut.
surprising. Yeah.
But regardless, I just thought that was a cool little bit to point out.
Yeah.
So Luke is trying to track down the clone pipeline. Talon-Karrde shows up and is like, I will help you.
Right. If you got some money.
That's what he did.
He does try to shake him down.
He does try to shake him down. And Luke's like, you know what? Fine. I'll open a line of credit.
I'll open a line of credit. Here's my American Express black card.
It was pretty funny.
There we go.
Then we go back to Coruscant, where Mara Jade is waking up from, being exposed to the vacuum for a couple hours.
Something small. Oh, and she's in the fancy medical wing of the palace. I'm like, damn, she's moving up in the world. And I had a question that was answered later on because the dude with the blue hair and the mullet and the circle tattoos on his face, he's a hacker.
Yeah,
he's a hacker.
That's Gent.
Yeah. I'm like, Gent. Yeah, they say that in issue 3 or whatever, but I'm like, why was he hanging around her medical bay? Was he hacking her medical records or doing something?
I think Karrde left him there to keep an eye on her, and then also to help. If I remember correctly from the books, he was also left there because he was very useful for the Republic to try to figure out what the Empire was doing.
He's hacking the planet. Yeah. They're just from the 90s.
So Mara wakes up. She's like, "What am I doing here?" Then Leia's secretary, Winter.
It was kind of funny because they, Winter, which is a weird name. I'm Fall, but it was kind of started to remind me of like Amilyn Holdo from The Last Jedi, Laura Dern's character. But then again, not really, because she was from Leia's past. They were like girlhood chums, but this person's more.
Winter Winter has a similar backstory to that, but Winter is much more
cool, of a Mary Poppins. Yeah,
she's also cool and collected.
Oh,
which Admiral Holdo was not.
Well,
decidedly,
the Holdo maneuver looked pretty collected. It collected the shit out of blowing up the First Order.
But she didn't have an eidetic memory. Like that's something that does come up here, where
that's right.
Where Mara Jade figures out who Winter was. It's like, oh, you were the rebel agent that we codenamed Targeter because you would just like blow shit up because you would we didn't know who you were, but you would walk through an area, exactly where everything was, and you could call the shots from systems away.
And that guy has a scuff on his shoe. There was a great bit within that scene that Mara gets to her quarters. She's like, "Oh, you left me a holder, but took me my gun." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm in the palace, and there's a library on every floor. And in every book, there's a gun in the back." And I'm like, "Ooh, that makes sense because it's like on Star Trek, there's a phaser under every console in case the bad guys beam in. You got to be like." Pew! You got to be ready to shoot somebody.
You got to be ready to shoot. That is the panel sequence where we do get our equivalent to the gratuitous butt shot. Where she is very clearly not wearing a shirt. They cover it up.
Now I feel dressed in my skin tight, sexy cat flight suit. Hashtag knowing your audience.
Yeah, it was just one of those I'm just reading, going like, oh, she's finding a blaster. And it's like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Oh, okay.
You see a lot of that on Threads, just thirsty gals.
Yep. It was interesting. But then we go back to the Chimera. Sabaoth is bitching about not having the Jedi. Thrawn's like, this thing takes time and you just gotta chill.
Yeah, take it easy, baby. Have a cocktail. Yeah, and he's just, there's nothing about Gandalf that's chill.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, listen, I said, if you fail me this time, you won't be pleased with the consequences. I'm like, this bro just talks some shit. But Thrawn's just like, dee. Okay, man, I got you. There you go, Grandpa. Okay, you're still in charge.
There is a point here where you do start to see a little bit of Thrawn's overconfidence that does come to bite him a little bit later. Because he's very confident in the fact that he has a Salamiri, so he can be immune to Kabouth. And then if it were to come to that and he tried to attack him, he would just be like, well, I've got a Salamiri and I have Rook, and you're done.
Yeah, right. So, you ain't got no Rook. You ain't Rooking it.
Yep. Then we go back to the planet where Luke is trying to track down the clone line. He does think he sees things, and so then takes off. The Chimera attempts to capture him, but Luke sneakily has his X-Wing Inafraid.
I know. I love that sequence. I also love when he was on the planet, how he does the using the saber to descend his fall because he's on top of a skyscraper or something. And then the ship he was flying, the front of it was like the Ghost from Rebels with the little fold down door right under the cockpit.
It did look very much like
that. Was really neat. So it's like, was that a Carillion ship? Was that adapted later on? So there's just so many great, like I said, this stuff, EU stuff, reminds me of stuff from the Star Trek animated series where they just, like Lower Decks in particular, just snuck stuff in.
You just that becomes canon. Stuff that it's like, oh, I like this, I like that.
Here's Giant Spock, exactly. So, but yeah, that was a cool sequence. The X-wing was docked underneath and it zips out because the bigger ship is tractored and then blown up.
Yeah.
And then we end the first issue with birthing of some babies. I gotta say, while that's a cute moment, the sound effects of the twins being born are like, it's a little off-putting because if you're looking at the panel, it's like it's probably a double truck panel just filled with, and they're not even word bubbles. It's like just shouting, because anybody like, okay, I've been present at the birth of my 3 children, so I know what sounds are happening, and none of those look like recognizable sounds of anything happening ever. But hey, it's galaxy far, far away. Whatever.
Who knows? Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, then they're born 2, babies, dark hair, and ready to rock and roll. And I know that there's, the EU does go on to Jason and Jaina.
Yep.
They were already, and they named them. So it wasn't like when Luke or Leia was born and the dying Padme was like, Luke, Leia, she's died of a broken heart. What kind of hippie nonsense is this?
Yep. So we have Jason and Jaina, and then later they have Anakin.
Ben. Oh, Anakin. Okay,
Anakin.
Because
Ben is Skywalker.
In continuity.
No,
yes.
Ben Skywalker.
Oh, so Ben. Yeah, that's right. Because
Luke does have a kid.
I still maintain there's a possibility that Mara existed in canon and just died off. You never know.
She was killed in the books too, so
they could have found a way to sneak her in. And then another reason Luke is so sad living on the Last Jedi planet is that he not only was responsible for the death of all those kids, but also his wife was there and she died too. You never know. So anyway, that's my headcanon.
If they bring her in, that's the best way to do it. I don't think they're going to bring her in because she's too much of an awesome legacy character that you have to figure out how to use correctly.
And I think as we both postulated, it's a better idea for them to move on and do new things with new characters, not find a way to pigeon in more backstory and stuff. But anyway, all right, issue 2, the cover of this. And again, I love the covers of these because they're painted. They're very evocative of like Alex Ross, who's a very famous comic book cover painter and internal, but he's most famous for the comics in like series like Marvel and Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid, who we've interviewed on our Spotlight program. It's a great they go 2 for 1. It's a great butt shot of Mara because she's looking over her shoulder, but she's also making the duck lips. I'm like, I had to scroll back and look at it again. I'm like, is this really what they're going for?
It's such a strange image,
but it's like it's a cover, so they're expecting to maybe catch somebody who's like, ooh, now I gotta pick this up. It's like I don't know.
There's so many other nicer images of Mara Jade,
right?
Or
that you don't have,
or really interesting images.
You don't
of Mara
have to
Jade.
Just hypersexualize it. It just seems, and then to make her look like some bimbo Instagram model. No offense to bimbo Instagram models. It just really didn't track for me. So
like one of my favorite comic images of her is her standing with a lightsaber and she's just like scowling out.
Right, and that's famous. And I know that model has gone on to do other things in social media, and right now I cannot remember her name. It's somebody who achieved some independent fame from being in that photo shoot and doing that image.
Oh yeah, well, I wasn't thinking of her specifically. I was thinking of the comic. But yes, there was there was a specific person who was the model for Mara Jade, who appeared as her in like all sorts of promotional material.
Right.
And was the model for a lot of the book the book paintings too.
Right. So we're getting started. We have a big block where it's like you probably heard me talk in the past. One of my favorite comic creators is John Byrne. He runs on the Fantastic Four and did a lot of Star Trek, but he was real famous for writing huge sequences of like filling a panel with word bubbles and words. And we get that out of Thrawn over like 3 or 4 panels in a row, and it's like I almost couldn't connect all the dots to see what was going on. It's like it was getting very, very Senate-y, but still,
yeah.
I mean, all the stuff he says, he's laying it all down. It's pretty exciting. That sequence is backed up with, I think, with Paleon doing a how many Star Wars words can I say in a minute, because he like rips off the name of a planet and a species, and I'm like, ooh, those are all, you've seen that Star Wars word or name generator where you just punch in a couple things, and I think that's really how they do it. So all right. So what else is going on? Luke is off. He's going to that planet where Leia was.
He's going to Onagar.
Where they
visit the Nogri.
They call her Lady Vader, and now he's Vader boy or Vader son.
He's son of Vader.
Yeah, he uses the do you know who I am, son of Vader. Yeah,
but he's not nearly as cool because the Nogri are a matriarchal society.
Right.
So they're like, you're the son of Vader. Okay, cool. But the Malariush she's where it's at. Like you're just here.
I think it's real weird when it gets out that one of the Nogri sniffs his hand like a dog would sniff your hand when they're like, if there's a dog walking by your house, you're like, oh, puppy, and you go stick out your hand.
That is in the books too. Like I don't know if it's that close, like how they show it in the comic, but the Nogri have very sensitive olfactory systems, and so they can identify people very easily through smell.
Like Vulcans, they can smell. So maybe I missed this, and this is a carryover from last year. So Lando's really in the shit. He's working on, was it one? I'm trying to remember from the last series. It was some kind of
there's a giant walker thing that he had built that was walking on this planet that slowly rotates very, very close to a star.
Oh, gotcha.
And so you got to keep moving, otherwise you fry. But the Empire came and blasted it.
That's right. That's what they do. So we go back to Mara. She's having more of what I call Vietnam flashbacks, because she's having these waking nightmares of the Emperor saying, kill Luke Skywalker. And then in the Vader and Luke, a la from Return of the Jedi, are like both lunging at her.
Yes.
And I feel
that is her vision, which was a deliberate lie on the part of the Emperor.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you're kind of tricking her into it. So I feel like, because Leia kind of goes to confront her, and I feel like we're going to get like a bigger origin story at this point, but we kind of don't. She kind of repeats the story beats of her lines of what we heard when we first met her. Well, I'm going to kill your brother. And she doesn't really react to that much. She's like, oh, yeah, well why you got to do that?
Well, what's the deal? I mean, Luke already told her, so she knows. But
they're still keeping her around, which seems like it might be a strategical disadvantage, but you know what? I mean, Leia's pretty smart. Organa Solo is pretty smart.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I guess she knows what she's up to. Another butt shot. So, but yeah, Thrawn's big plan is to then kidnap the twins.
He's like, well, we've told
plan?
Crazy Jedi Man that we're going to do that, and the Nogri haven't been doing a good job, so we're going to send commandos to do it this time.
Right.
And that goes swimmingly.
Yeah, exactly right. But there's a double cross in it, because they capture a guy, and he was a Major so-and-so, and he gets badly burned, so they have him floating in a bacta tank. And he's like, yeah, Mara Jade let us in. She's with us, which we find out later on is not true.
Yep. So this is Thrawn doing an extra thing of like knowing
doing an extra thing.
Mara is like working with the New Republic, and he's like, well, she thinks that she knows all of my codes and all Imperial procedures. Well, let's take away her advantage by making everyone suspicious of her.
Yeah.
So, classic.
Yeah.
Because we do have Mara, like, she knows all the secrets of the building, so she climbs through, like, the wall tunnels and then pops out behind the bad guys and blasts them.
Hello. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool sequence. So there's that. Then we get into kind of the last bit of it. We have I wrote Craven's council meeting. That's the that guy. The guy who looks like the guy who looks like Craven. I keep calling him. So I do love that his little meaning of weird looking aliens is one of those things that you can only pull off in a comic or with CGI that didn't really exist at this point, because it would all look like as shitty as things did in the special edition the first time around. Yeah. Like, look at Jabba the Hutt. I mean, because you saw that when you were very, very young, but I'm sure you're aware, and we talked about it in our special edition additive when we were talking about A New Hope, just how shitty that Jabba looked in 1997. It was like,
though, it was like, wow.
Yeah, I know, but as looking at it as an adult, you're like, thank God. And then they evolved that. Now the Jabba, if you watch it today, if you go watch it on Disney Plus, it looks like you would expect Jabba to look like if he were CGI made from the way he looked in Return of the Jedi.
Well, it's more based on how he looked in Episode 1, because it was back then. It's the CG model that they used.
Yes.
Because the one in the special edition is not the first special edition was not the CGI from episode 1, but then they went and inserted
because episode 1 hadn't been made yet.
Correct. Yep.
that would make that they can't go backwards in time. But the imps crash this party, and we learn a little bit more about the background a little bit later on. I did note, and these were this bled into my notes for issue 3, that they are at the Whistler's Whirlpool Tap Cafe on Trogan. And I'm like, that's about as the Star Wars-y like word vomit that it's worse than the technobabble in Star Trek, where you've got to collimate the phaser micro pressure in millipascals to solidify the warp core. It's like so much nonsense.
Hey, special kind of Zahn is good at weird Star Wars names. So.
I do. Well, yeah, he's got that generator. But then again, back then he probably had to put like letters in a hat and maybe pull them out.
Maybe,
like this one has vowels in it, this one has consonants, and you can make words from them.
Or you just go to the fair and be like, all right, tilt-a-whirl. I wonder if I can use that with something.
Yeah, right. So. Oh my gosh. So they wrap up episode 2. And am I right that we see Squiggly Wolfman back in this from the last book?
Yes. Okay, good. In issue 3, we do see the Wraith back.
Gotcha.
So
but we finish issue 2 with the beauty money shot. You get a full splash page of everybody going, let's go. It's all the smugglers with their guns out there. I wrote, it's time to pew pew those imps, and that's the money shot. Mm-hmm. That's the end of issue 2. All right, boy, this is going quickly. Issue 3. What do we got? Yeah, so I already gave my first note, the Whistler's Whirlpool Cafe, blah, blah, blah. Big pew pews, which I thought would last for a long time, but it lasts for like a page and a half, which is, they got a lot of heavy lifting to do in this issue, so it's okay.
Yep.
My last note before I kick it over to you was that one of the smugglers that lives, and Craven's having a chat with him, like, hey, where's your buddy? Oh, he died, but you know what? I'm all in now. Looks almost exactly like another Spider-Man villain, Morbius the Living Vampire, who unfortunately died.
Yeah, he kind of does. Yeah,
but he looks like Morbius, a la his appearance in the animated 1994 Spider-Man cartoon, which is how I would expect you would know him as opposed to the comics.
Yep, that's that. Once you said him, I was like, yeah, that's who.
Yeah, it was more. So we got Craven and Morbius on that side. If we were to get like a third Spider-Man villain, who would be a just for fun? Who do you think would look like? Who do you think would be a good fit?
I think Norman Osborn could show up in the '90s version of Norman Osborn could show up.
That hair, that weird hair,
that weird ripple wave thing that he's got going.
Exactly. So, all right. So
we got
what's going on?
What's his face? Why am I forgetting his name?
The greasy cigar guy?
Yeah, Cigar Man, who's...
because he was there at the meeting.
Niles Ferrier,
he goes back to talk to Thrawn.
Yeah, he's like, you wanted me to spy on Card and get in with him, and so I figured out how to make myself look good is to have the Imperials attack, and then, I'm helping fight him off, and Thrawn's like...
That's the exact
absolute
what I wanted to have happen.
Douche nozzle. What you did is you got everyone to now believe that the Empire is going to kill them, and so now they've united, and you've caused me more of a headache, you idiot.
Yeah, give me a reason I shouldn't kill you. And he's like, well, and he gets the guy put a knife to his throat. He's like, well, if you go out and I bet he's going to get fried. And he says, well, I'll go out and I'll capture Craven for you and I'll bring him back. And he's like, this is your last chance. Otherwise I'm going to cut your balls off or whatever. And so he sends him on his merry way.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to use one of my shuttles. And if you don't do your job, I'm going to blow it up.
Exactly. So it's at this point that you see Major, what's his face? Who was captured says, oh, Mara Jade was the one who threw us in there. And that happened in the last year, but as Thrawn reveals that was the big setup.
Yep.
But it doesn't work because in the time in between, Mara's again having another one of her Vietnam flashback dreams, and Luke wakes her up, and he's like, "We're going to." This is how I've dubbed the episode. We're going to go. We know we need to find the cloning planet, and it's called Wayland, which I love. And I've told the story before. Here in West Michigan, about 20 miles south of Grand Rapids, there is a rural town called Wayland, and I have a customer there. So I go there from time to time. When I was in Boy Scouts when I was a kid. We were having like one of the, my brother and I were in the same troop, and my friend Brian Cole as well, who you probably met. We played pickleball together. We're all sitting in this meeting, and everybody at this group is going around saying where they're from. And one of the kids was from Wayland, which is pretty far away from where we're at. And he said, yeah, I'm from Wayland. It's a good place to buy cows. And that was 40 years ago, and I have never forgotten it. So, therefore, in the honor of that kid, whoever the hell he was, I have dubbed this episode Wayland, One-Stop Shopping for Clones and Cows.
That seems about right.
So that's the mission. They're going to scoop up Mara because Mara says, well, okay, I can find it, or we can go to a place that I know that's blah, blah, blah.
We can go to the place that I got picked up by the Empire, and then they took me there, and I can figure out where it was. Yeah,
exactly. So now they have a mission. But what's going to get in the way of their mission? So they get away and they quote unquote abduct her because the powers that be don't know where she is because they're like, well, I'm going to go put her under arrest because this guy said she let him in or whatever. So they like fall right into Thrawn's trap.
Yep. And side note, they do bring the Nogri back onto Coruscant to now protect Leia and the twins.
Why? That was another note. Why in the hell are they wearing Jawa outfits?
I don't know. That was an interesting choice.
That's an art? I assume, so it's not from the book. It's just an artist that said, let me just throw in something there that's kind of a like, hey, look.
They did have disguises of sorts. I just don't remember what they were. I don't think they were Jawa costumes.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
that just seems...
I don't remember.
Very weird. Very, very weird to me. Didn't really get it. So that's going on. Crazy Gandalf comes back. I'm taking over. Brr, 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 take me to Leia. And I think Thrawn's like, okay, buddy, we'll see what we can do. And he's still figuring out in his you're playing, checkers and I'm playing chess brain that I got to find a way to stomp this guy out.
Yeah.
It's at this point when Gandalf is ranting and raving, and I know we've seen this previously. He's wearing this big ass gold medallion like a 1980s rapper, which I just. Sign me up. That's a cosplay I could do. I just need a longer wig with my gray beard and give me a big ass gold chain so I could look like LL Cool J. I'm absolutely there for it.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is when we're getting hit. So the issue leads its way to an attack on Coruscant, which I just call the big C in my notes because I don't want to continually misspell Coruscant.
Yeah,
but. Tell me if I got this right. So Thrawn has orchestrated, either built or commandeered in some respect, these like cloaked asteroids that create this physical shield that during this attack, which again he can shoot through the barrier because there's a planetary shield kind of. Yeah, kind of like from Rogue One at the Scarif where they had the big planet shield that he's still able to shoot through, but this field can repel other stuff. But the asteroids, he lumps them in such a fashion that they're pressing on this shield, and if they take the shield down so they can leave or destroy them, whatever, it'll be like one of those asteroid movies where they just crash down and destroy
pretty much
the planet.
Yep.
So he's effectively, this is just like I said, playing chess instead of checkers. He's now isolated them from being a part of what comes next, which is
everything else.
Everything else. So that's pretty crazy. Luke has a new vest over his black, which is. I don't really dig on it. It kind of looks like a tenth of like old Obi-Wan Kenobi's outfit. It's like, if you ever look at the action figure of him when he first came out, it was the plastic robes and shit. So I'm just like, where do they like decide like, I wear an all black outfit, but I need an accent. Like, if the weather's kind of not so warm, I'll throw a vest on because I like the extra pockets if it's not summer and I'm not wearing cargo shirts because I don't like shit in my pockets. I like it on the side. But it's like, how do you pick that? I just think that's bizarre. But they got Mara. They go get some cows and some clones. And then Gandalf is like, I'm going to the cow place too.
Yeah, he decides, I need to go there. I have things to do. And Thrawn's like, fine, get out of my face.
Yeah, right. I don't need your shit, you crazy old bastard.
I don't need you here. In the meantime, when Coruscant is attacked, we finally have this sort of reconciliation between Mon Mothma and Bel Iblis.
The guy who wears the ridiculous outfit. He looks like he's about 8 feet tall, and he's got a mane of hair that would make Fabio weep.
Yeah, it's just like General Garm Bel Iblis, who is a former senator.
And he's like, and he's wearing this ridiculous like third world outfit. I had a note. I love it how Leia is shit talking one of the generals to another one of the generals. Like she's just she's being a mean girl. I mean,
she doesn't. She's Leia. She doesn't care.
Yeah,
Like,
which is because she's pretty bulletproof, so to speak.
Yeah.
I wrote General Fancy
which is
outfit.
another thing that they kind of missed in the sequels. It's like Leia doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, they kind of.
Yes, I call that guy General Fancy Outfit. He comes out of retirement. He takes over the command forces, and I'm getting a real I'm going to die in a blaze of glory vibe out of this guy because he's like,
oh, Belibus. Oh
yeah, exactly. Doesn't he just seem like I'm going to lead you guys into the maw of hell?
Yeah.
But so they're trapped under this big shield thing, and then the blue-haired hacker dude comes back in, and he tells he's having a chit chat with Leia, and he's like, "Yeah, I cracked Delta source code or the Delta source."
Yeah, he figured out who Delta source was.
And Leia's like, "Ooh," and we don't know what that is, or at least unless I totally missed something.
Well, Delta source has been mentioned a couple times,
but Leia does, and it's the end of the issue too. So I'm like,
Delta source was mentioned a little bit earlier when Han was walking down that hallway, and it was also mentioned one or two times before they were breaking out Mara because they didn't want anyone to know. So Delta source has been mentioned a couple times throughout this, where they don't know what Delta source, who Delta source is, but Delta source is an informant of sorts that the Empire has somewhere in the heart of Coruscant that just keeps finding all of their dirty secrets.
Dirty secret machine.
Thrawn just knows everything. Like it hears.
Oh my gosh!
Somehow Delta source is able to determine like special moves that the Navy's gonna do before it's presented to the Senate, and like it's like, how do they know this? And so for Ghent to say, yeah, I think I cracked Delta source is huge,
right? Exactly. Yeah,
that is cutting off Thrawn's major information.
The big brother, so that would kind of bring him to his knees. So that Leia's like, we can get control of Delta source, and that's obviously
if you can use Delta source for either just stop it or even better, feed misinformation. Oh boy, because Delta source has been so reliable so far. If you're able to feed misinformation and your enemy doesn't know, oh man, can you screw with them?
Oh my gosh! And let's not forget, Delta source does take us back to thinking about the 80s movie Delta Force. And this week we lost Chuck Norris, famous 80s actor. He's now kicking ass in heaven. So hashtag RIP Chuck Norris. So and then that brings us to the end of issue 3. So as always, I like to rate things again. So I rated this segment. This is a strong 8 out of 10 for me. A lot of great kind of set pieces. I love that even in this pre special edition era, this was your source for Star Wars, because when these novels launched, there hadn't been but a smattering of Star Wars books really in the 1980s. I feel like most of the
really
stuff
just Splinter of the Mind's Eye and like one or two others, and that was it.
And it was all really in the because Splinter was in 78, so it was after the first film. And then like the Han Solo trilogy, Han Solo at Star's End, and they were in like Lando had some books, but I feel like those were right around the time of the films and maybe even before Return of the Jedi. And then there were the Marvel comics, which ran from 77 to 86. So it had a 9-year run. And other than that, looking at the last half of the 80s, there wasn't much of anything. Like the brand was really on hiatus. There were no figures. There was really the
90s really was what blew it up.
So this really blew the doors off. So this was a story that, again, shame on me for not really having a lot of informative pieces. So I'm doing all of this for the first time. Now the ones that come after this trilogy, is it the Dark Empire or Dark Forces, or
are we talking what comes after here in terms of like continuity, or in terms of Zahn?
In terms of Zahn.
Okay, so for Zahn didn't do Dark Empire. Dark Empire is an interesting story. But he didn't do it. The next
we might circle.
Dark Empire is actually worth, especially in light of Episode 9. But
maybe that'll be our next comic tackle, because
Zahn tends to write about Thrawn or Thrawn adjacent. So
that's his guy.
His next thing is Spectre of the Past and Vision of the Future. And then he goes on and does one called does Survivor's Quest, which is a Luke and Mara figure out what happened to the outbound flight that you've kind of heard a little bit about here. And then there is a book called Outbound Flight, which takes place between episode 2 and 3.
Gotcha.
So that, and then he did a book about, actually he did a couple more, but he did one with Han and Lando
Yeah.
before the Falcon fiasco. So when they're together causing mayhem.
Right.
And then he did 2 books with Mara Jade as the Emperor's Hand, where she's dealing with stormtroopers.
Gotcha. Well, one thing we can definitely break down is that Mara Jade comic that kind of caught your eye back in the day. I think that'd be a good tackle. So, well, all right. Well, that really, we did this succinctly. That really kind of wraps us up.
Yeah.
So we'll be back. As I said, we're skipping our next scheduled. So sorry. I'll be enjoying visiting family, and then actually going to New York City for April's 50th birthday, which we're very excited about. We're seeing The Cursed Child, and Tom Felton is still in it.
Oh, nice.
On Broadway. Yeah, or off Broadway, or wherever the hell it is. So we're kind of psyched about that. But but when we come back, we'll be wrapping this up, but we'll also be giving Peter, I might try to find just for that segment a guest who is a big Mandophile who wants to record just that segment with us to just do basically the Mandalorian series in 30 minutes or less, you know what I mean? Where we just say, hey, this is what happened, and here are the big beats, and here's maybe what we think it means to the movie. But that's what you have to look forward to when we come back in a month. I just misspoke that, didn't I? That's what we'll do when we get to The Mandalorian. What we'll talk about in our next episode is wrapping this up. And then the Darth Maul, I think we're covering the first 4 episodes of that. Yep. So that'll just be us unless I can Shanghai somebody into joining us for that. But we'll see. We'll do some work behind the scenes. We'll find out if there's anybody who's super excited about that. I'll probably reach out to our little listserv on email of our regular contributors and see if anybody wants to just record that one with us. So, But anyway, we'll be back in a month. Thanks for tuning in. Peter, where do people find you out there if they want to talk more about Thrawn?
Well, if you want to talk about Thrawn, I'm more than happy about it. But
he's into it. It's the only way you'll hear from him if you reach out.
Yeah, you might actually hear from me. So I am out on the social medias at Petrus Aquinas on most of them. I'm not terribly active, but if you want to talk about Thrawn, I will probably say something.
There you go. That's
otherwise, you can find me on the Secret Friends Unite Discord channel. You can find me on ELH's Twitch and YouTube and Discord, where we do a lot of role-playing games. And then you can also find me behind the scenes on Starship Excelsior.
Fantastic. I am on most social medias, not TikTok anymore, really. And definitely not X, but you can find me as at the C3 THECEETHREE. I also keep an eye on our Secret Friends Unite postings as well. I try to keep up both of those, flipping back and forth between them on my phone as I'm looking at Instagram and stuff. But find us there. But again, we would love to hear from you over on email. We still have our mailbag, secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you're enjoying, and we can read your comments on the show. Let us know what you thought about us talking about this series of books, or if you're excited about The Mandalorian, Grogu, or about Darth Maul, drop us a line. We'll talk about that as well. Mm-hmm. But in the time in between, friends, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the Force be with you.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.